Hi everyone, Miss Mick is here. Happy January 6th of 2022. So one of my new things I'm starting this year is I want to take a moment of silence and I want to say thank you to the indigenous people who were native to the land before us. Thank you. So I encourage you to research what Native American may have been on the land in the area where you live and go to school. I recently found out, let me turn my background music back on, that there is a museum near one of my favorite areas in the Gulf Coast, and it is known as the Native Paths Cultural Heritage Museum. It is sponsored by the Perdido Bay tribe of southeastern Lower Muskogee Creek Indians. So I hope to go there soon. They take donations and they also have a $35 year subscription for family membership. So I am hopeful to go there very soon and I will share pictures of that adventure. So I want to talk a little bit about some things that I've been demonstrating and teaching this week for some new possible teaching assignments that Miss Mick might be getting. But that is the importance of, as a first grader, writing the date. So as you can see, I've written January 6, 2022 or 2022. That is today's date. So, you know, with preschoolers, you can just start by practicing writing the letter J. And, you know, and they're probably going to need to write it bigger than that, you know, so you can allow them to go, you know, maybe across 3 lines as they write the letter J. And then as you're working with a child who is working their way up to first grade, you know, you want to start adding just a couple of the other letters. So January, what are we hearing when we say January, right? January, right? Today's the 6th day of January. So writing the number 6 and then practicing writing the numbers for the year as well. So, you know, you can have plain paper, you can have lined notebook paper, and practicing that. And that would be something that first graders need to do, is writing those things. So, lastly, I want to end real quick here with some other things to know about January 6th. So, January 6th is also known as National Technology Day. Didn't know that. National Cuddle Up Day, National Bean Day, okay, and National Shortbread Day. Now, these would be probably celebrated in more areas of the country than others. I was not aware of any of those, but something to know about January 6th. Now, January 6th for me has always been a celebration of the Epiphany. Now, the Epiphany is also known, I know in Puerto Rico, they celebrate it as Happy Three Kings Day. So just a little bit of background. The Epiphany is the Christian word for January 6th, celebrating the revelation of God being incarnate as baby Jesus. And this is also the day that the 3 wise men came and visited baby Jesus. So, you know, there's some frankincense and myrrh in that story and that biblical history. In the East, it's also known, non-Christian, what they call it, the Theophany, which is spelled Theophony, Miss Mick might be saying that wrong, but in the West, or as I've known it, is as the Epiphany. And then, like I said, Puerto Ricans have called it celebrating the Happy Three Kings Day, when they got to visit with baby Jesus historically. So that's what January 6th has always meant for me. Now, I also want to share with you that this January 6th is the birthday of Charles Sumner. He was an abolitionist and civil rights activist and a U.S. Senator. He was born on this day, January 6th, in 1811. In the 1840s, he emerged as an anti-slavery leader. He was a Harvard-educated lawyer and engaged in disarmament efforts and prison and school reforms, arguing for integrating schools in Massachusetts. So I would like to remember his work today. There's a book known as called Sarah's Long Walk, The Free Blacks of Boston and How Their Struggle for Equality Changed America. This is written by Stephen Kendrick and Paul Kendrick. And Sarah was barred from a white school in Boston, Massachusetts. And the plaintiff's attorneys were Charles Sumner and Robert Morris, one of the country's first African-American lawyers. And this was the first trial case about school segregation. Very interesting. So, to know about that. And Miss Mick went to a high school in efforts for my county at the time to work on desegregation, segregation. And so, you know, if you were a student of a certain color, you had to be bused to a different school, etc. So Miss Mick graduated from a historically black high school or African American high school because of that. And I learned a lot about different cultures and diversity, and I wouldn't change that for anything in the world. So that's a little bit about me. Now, also today is the 80th anniversary of Franklin D. Roosevelt's Four Freedoms speech. Okay, so in a 1941 address to Congress, President Franklin D. Roosevelt, in an effort to move the country away from its isolationist policies, introduced the four freedoms: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. He said that all people were entitled to these freedoms and that the U.S. should act immediately to rid the world of the perils of Nazism, which was spreading throughout Europe during that time. So that is, today also marks the famous Four Freedom speech from Franklin D. Roosevelt. That is pretty awesome. And you can read the full transcript of FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt's Four Freedom speech at the website on Congress. So I'll include that bit.ly link in my video. And then lastly, you're going to hear today as our current president is presenting that January 6th of 2021, so a year ago, America had an insurrection at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. And there's an ongoing investigation in that. And so I hope that we find some truths and we figure out that if there were crimes committed, that, there's some justice there for the people who had crimes committed against them. There were four people who worked in law enforcement that lost their lives that day. So that is kind of sad. So think about some of the loss and some of the sad things that happen in the world, but there's a lot of great things, and we need to remember that as well. So happy practicing writing. Okay, so like I said, just practice with your kids writing the letters that make up the word January. First graders should be able to write this as small as they can within one line. And that's something that they work towards, slowing their brain down and practicing writing out those letters. So I hope that you have a great January 6th, and I will be talking with y'all soon.